When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode. Here we are, James.
Hey, Mark. Great to see you.
You too, buddy. If anybody doesn't know who James is, he's the, what is your title over there at Gavin Becker? I forgot.
Senior Vice President of Quality and Protection.
Okay. And that's what James does now professionally. He's a trainer at Gavin Becker and left the feds and joined us all here at the private sector, this crazy world we call private security.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, James. And James and I have been talking about the issues that had just hit us, especially everybody's knowing what's going on in Denver, Colorado. And I just kind of wanted to reach out to James a little bit and discuss what could be done better based on the videos we've seen, use of force, pepper spray versus lethal. Yeah, we know how that all plays out. So, James, you know, I want your expert opinion on what you think on all that.
Kind of like we talked about last time, the hammer doctrine. And if you've only brought a hammer, well, then you're going to use that for the job. And I'm not saying whether he should have shot this guy or not. I wasn't there.
Right.
I haven't heard the audio. I've seen the video. I've seen the photographs. How does he articulate, you know, his imminent danger? That's up to him. When I mean him, I mean the security individual that is now in custody. It'll be up to him to articulate what he felt and, you know, whether he was in that type of fear that would lead him to press a trigger on a guy. Again, I wasn't there, but I know the legal standard is imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury. And then how you articulate that is really up to him. And, you know, in the police world, you're judged by the reasonable officer. And hopefully, you know, this individual will be judged by reasonable, you know, jurors in Colorado, I guess is how it's going to look. But I don't know if he had any other tools with him. I do understand from reading it, he was on some type of protective assignment. So I think I was just curious, and I think many of your listeners would be curious as to, you know, where was the client during the gunplay? Was there an ability to get them out of that area? I don't know. But that's my first thought as a protector would be keep my people safe and move them away from that situation. It looked like I've seen a video of this individual that was shot kind of arguing with someone else, and then the other situation happened. So I'm wondering if the situation we're discussing, which is a shooting, if the protector there could have moved that crew away, or maybe they needed to get the shot. Again, I wasn't there, but again, legally, that's some of the hurdles. And everyone's talking now about whether he was licensed or not. Believe me, that's not his biggest concern. A homicide charge is the biggest concern. You know, operating without a license in the state of Colorado, I read, was either some type of civil or administrative fine. That's the least of this gentleman's worries right now. Whether or not he worked for Pinkerton or that was subcontracted, again, I don't know if that's clear yet. I've heard differing things, but I think we all know that that's probably stuff that goes on in the industry.
Sure.
I don't know enough about it, but I do know that it looked like he only had one tool. A very nice tool, by the way. If you look at what he was using, that thing was pretty tricked out. And
I saw the video image of it. It looked like he had a red dot scope on it or something, maybe.
He was running an optic, and it almost looked like he had a threaded barrel for a suppressor. There wasn't a suppressor on it, but it looked threaded on the end. So, you know, and he had a great grip. So it tells me he's got some training from somewhere, which is, you know, that's great. I just don't know enough about it, but it obviously did make me question kind of where the principle was. But, you know, I think for the listeners, I think it's really good for them to kind of think. I always like to, you know, put yourself in that situation, you know, okay, this is you. What do you do now? And now it's too late to go get liability insurance, right? You better have already had it. It's probably a little too late to get a good lawyer. You should have already had them on retainer. And what do you say if you press the trigger on somebody? Do you kind of have something written down in a card somewhere that'll kind of help you remember, the legal authority, all that stuff. I hope that's what this gentleman has. But those are things for your listeners that they really need to be thinking about. Is if, you're in this situation, okay, what do you do next? I mean, luckily, he cooperated with law enforcement. He put his hands up. He was taken into custody, which is fine. But man, what now? And that lawsuit, there's going to be lawsuits, obviously. It's going to be ugly. And I think
it sounded like that was from based on what I saw on the media, social media. It sounded like it may have been Pinkerton's contract or something, and then they subbed it out to a company on the ground in Colorado. That's kind of what I heard. I think
I probably read the same article you did. Again, I just don't know enough about it. But it does sound like the news company felt like they were contracting with Pinkerton. That's what they're saying. So that's kind of a lesson for everybody who does contracts. I guess make sure the client's getting what you're taking money for. But I again try to stay in my lane, and from a tactical perspective, it's really on how this individual articulates it. I mean, he was, there was I should back up. I apologize, but there was a physical assault prior to the shooting. So
right.
the guy,
the pushing, shoving. I saw that on video.
Yeah, well, there's a guy with the spray who got shot. He did slap this security guy in the head, and then sprayed him, and then security guy, drew and fired. So again, I don't know. And I know a lot of the listeners, and I think I've seen a little bit of this thread on LinkedIn. A lot of people are talking about, the police training, which is, if you get pepper sprayed, you can use deadly force because you can be incapacitated and the subject can take your gun away. That is standard police academy lingo that's been taught for 30 years. Please try not to lump that into this, okay? Because there is no indication to anyone at that moment that that individual was law enforcement or security or anything, right? Remember, you're teaching police cadets or any law enforcement cadet, hey, if you get sprayed, you can be incapacitated. That's because you're in a uniform and they know you're a cop, right? And you got an exposed firearm with a big Sam Brown belt. Well, this individual had no such stuff. So I don't think you can go down that road of, he could incapacitate me and take my gun. Well, how does he know you even have a gun, right? Like, you got to be careful of that one. That's a police officer's excuse because that's what they're trained. But I don't think a private security guy gets such a luxury.
Great point.
I don't see it. Maybe some of your listeners can set me straight on that. I'm not saying it can't incapacitate you. I am saying that it's the argument of, well, they're going to take your gun and kill you with it, which is what they tell police officers. I don't know if you can make that leap because how does anyone know this individual even has a gun? It was concealed. So I don't know about that one. But he was assaulted and he was taking some type of spray, and you could argue, you can argue it. It just depends on, kind of what the jury believes. But again, if you had another tool, right, maybe don't kill the guy, maybe you use something else, but I wasn't there again. But I do think it presents some challenges. And the other thing no one's talking about would be, how was he carrying? I'm not talking about the city of Denver's license. I'm talking about, does he have a permit for that gun? That's going to be another charge. I mean, in some states that's a felony carrying, concealed without a permit.
Ouch.
To all your listeners, make sure
so
you're.
You could be looking at criminal charge. You could be looking at civil charges, and being sued by the deceased gentleman by his family, civil suit, and probably, I'm sure, prison time.
Yeah, I mean,
based on the jury.
Yeah, it's all uncomfortable and unfavorable, but it does elicit. My hope, anyway, for you and for the listeners is that it elicits a intelligent conversation with people in the industry. Okay.
Sure.
I use my words very specifically. It
right.
elicits an intelligent conversation, right? Like I want people to have an intelligent conversation, and believe me, I'm not saying guns are bad. I love guns. that's not it. It's just maybe that's not the only tool you want to have on your belt.
Right.
You need to have multiple tools, and sometimes they cause a lot of issues. So
Maybe judo or some self-defense, tactical reaction, knee-jerk reaction would have been better than, if he is able to fend him off, like create more space. He's got
can you
pepper
leave the area? Yeah, can you leave the area? Yeah.
walk backwards. Oh, you see him taking that canister out. Oh, that's not a lethal weapon. So give yourself 10 feet of space. So when he sprays you, guess what? You won't get hit.
Yeah.
But it's easier to be a second quarterback and be an armchair quarterback. And when you're not there, like you say, we weren't there. So we really don't know what was said or what he saw, what they both saw of each other. It's just crazy. But the company that had that contract on the ground are probably looking at major issues now.
Yeah, I mean it's really sad. I mean it really is. I just again hope it elicits a smart conversation with people about how you're doing business, and then okay, if this does happen, God forbid, what do you do now? Because believe me, this is not the time to start asking yourself the questions I just mentioned. And you hope you're covered with insurance and all the other types of things, legal representation. But yeah, wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How are things looking for 2020 for the rest of the year? I'm assuming you guys have been pretty busy over there.
Yeah, everyone's busy, and still, COVID obviously is still involved in a lot of the operations. We're getting, just like anybody, I think we're getting requests for service, especially with the civil unrest being much higher than it's been in years. And as I look down the road toward the election, I think you're going to see a little bit, obviously more. It's not going to go down, I don't believe, and that'll obviously cause folks to want to have security. I just, again, pray that in 2020 we have like a peaceful transition, a clear winner, and we just kind of, move into the next chapter. I think a prolonged election with an unknown outcome for a while could cause some instability that it would be unfavorable.
Very unbearable. And then the likelihood of them that seat, court justice seat will be 50-50 shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think those hearings started today, and we'll see. But yeah, I think for guys in the industry, just keep your cards up and keep your phone on, because there's going to be work. I think people are going to want some extra security come election time. And LAPD and the other big departments, especially California, they're really taking it on the chin right now. And I don't mean just to defund, but the calls for service are up, all of it, and their morale has to be tough. It has to be very, very tough right now to be in that world. And I mean, I know I'm seeing it, and I feel bad for them. But we have got to continue to answer the call and provide a nice service to people who are paying for it.
Yeah, I just saw after the Lakers just won the championship, I saw some video footage somewhere of where there was some looting by some fans and all that, and celebration and all that on the streets of LA. And I'm like, whoa, they weren't even protesting; they're still getting hit. It's just
it's tough right now. Tough, and I feel again, I was there, much as you, we pushed a cruiser around, and I mean, I remember those days, and it's just tough. That's a tough way to make a living, and my heart goes out to those folks, those men and women that are doing it. But man, if we could hire one of them, I'd be happy. More than one, but I'd be happy to get one. If anyone's looking for a career change, give us a call, because it's a little nicer environment, I think, to work for us than be out there in the car.
So is Gavin Becker, I'm sure your request for services is probably exploding with the fear factor and everything just going on. You're probably getting calls from everybody you can think of right now as far as, hey, can you put some guys on our estate and man up for a while and all blows over?
And I think, all boats rise together type of a concept. I mean, we're obviously busy and we're helping, other companies that will, if we can't fill a contract, we're helping any way we can, just to try to get service to folks. It is tough right now. It is very, very difficult, because people are scared. And, if you study like the hierarchy of needs, the very first hierarchy is, food and water and shelter. Well, the very second thing is safety. And so, we are providing something that humans need, and it's intrinsic in that the human experience is to want to have safety and security. So, I mean, I would tell the people in the industry that are listening, you're in a good spot, and do a nice job, be competent, be responsive. You'll be successful.
Absolutely.
I'll say that again: be competent and be responsive, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, my phone was blowing up all weekend on, hey, is there going to be more work coming around the corner after the elections? And I'm like, well, watch my podcast because James is sharing and Mike Trout's shared and had Fred Burton on a minute ago. It's not going to be definitely not going to be a lack of work out there with everything going on.
You're going to see that, the travel is going to return. I was watching CNBC the other day, and a really smart guy, smarter than me, he said, they were asking about the airline stocks, and he said, if you don't buy the airline stocks right now, then you are basically saying you believe COVID will be here forever and we'll never travel again. Right? And who believes that? I mean, certainly we're going to get out of this at some point. And I kind of look at field work as the same way. We're eventually going to get back to concerts, those types of public appearance deals out in the world. It's going to come back eventually. Now it's going to probably look different. There may be masks, or maybe this or that, maybe more hand sanitizer and less handshaking. But I do believe we're going to get back to it. And the best thing for guys to do is, stay up physically, stay up mentally, keep your licenses up, and be ready to answer the call. And if you get that call, knock it out of the park. Don't hit a single, man, hit a home run.
Great point.
Do a great job.
Yeah, my biggest complaint, James, is I'm a partner in a company myself. I have Ledlow Security Group, and I have a partner in California as well. And what I've seen, my biggest pet peeve is answer your phone.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, they'd rather text, but if I'm texting, I'm missing a phone call. And I know a lot of these millennials, they like to text, and that's how they communicate. But when you get that phone call from a weird number, yeah, you may want to block it, but right now, this is the time to shine and build your brand. Yeah. And if you're a solo practitioner like I used to be, your phone is your office, it's your business, and that's how you get yourself known out there.
And it only takes one, like that. I think that's important for everyone, listening to remember, is it only takes one call. And you do a great job with that client, and you treat them well, and you provide, confidence. Man, they're going to call you back. And it's just like going to a good restaurant. They're going to call and tell 5 of their buddies, or email 5 of their buddies and say, hey, I had this great experience, with Mark Ledlow or whatever. And man, that you're going to get another call and another call. But it only takes one, and it's how you start with that one. But the very first step, like you said, you got to answer the call, right? Because they're going to keep calling. If they're looking for some service and they've got a list of 5 names, then they call the first one, he doesn't answer, they're going to go to number 2. They're not waiting on number 1 to call him back. They're going to keep moving, right? And if number 2 answers and he's responsive or she's responsive, well, number 1, you just missed out, because you didn't want to answer your phone. Well, sorry, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, and a lot of guys I know, they're collecting unemployment right now, and I know I had a buddy that was trying to fill a corporate contract in Southern California. I'm not able to discuss names because of the NDA I signed with him. But that corporate client, we had 30 people lined up to work, 30 locations, and the answer was, I make more money on unemployment than working. And yeah, I get you got to pay your bills, but you're given the opportunity to work. And then, the exposure to COVID-19, that was another concern for health issues. So I get that. But there's a time and place where you have to make that decision. Are you going to push through that threshold and, network? Because networking is basically when you're working. That's when you're networking. That's an interview. You don't realize you're doing an interview, but you are. People are watching you perform. It might be a boring post, 12-hour day on your feet, but you do a great job and have that client responding to your point of contact, say, hey, Jeff did a great job at XYZ location for X client. Guess what? That was an endorsement. You don't know that, but that's an endorsement. That's how this industry works. So if you're a millennial and you're trying to figure out how this thing works, that's how it works. Like James said, that first call, answer your phone and don't get stuck in text. Some people like to communicate in text. Me, I hate texting with a passion because it doesn't convey your voice, your passion, and all that. That's why, I know millennials love it, but it's the best way to communicate to guys like James and myself. I don't know, James, are you more of a texter, voice guy on the phone? How do you like to
I like to talk. I like this a lot because I can see your face. I like FaceTime. I like Zoom just because I can see you. But yeah, I like to talk on the phone, even though I'm from the South and a lot of people don't understand me. That is my preferred way to communicate. And they get they get to see you, and they get to kind of get a feel for, okay, is this person confident, and do they look the part? Hey, I mean that does matter. I hate to tell you, but it matters. I take a look at a guy. I mean, who wants to protect me. I'm going to take a look at him. And he better be impressive. So, and I think that's a huge piece of it is that first impression. And like you said, that first impression starts with the communication, and not a text but an actual phone call and a responsive callback or what have you. And then the first meeting, you've already set the stage for that first meeting by being confident on the phone, being responsive. And then when you get there, you're just kind of reassuring them that you are what you said you are. But again, everything's a communication. I don't think a lot of folks, especially maybe the younger crowd, understand that. They don't understand that, like, your footwear is a communication, right? If you're wearing a suit and you're wearing core fams, which I see a lot, no offense to the guys from the military, but core fams don't get it done in a business suit. And for those listening, don't know what core fams are. Those are patent leather shoes that are fake plastic, shiny shoes. They don't get it done in the private sector. They don't. If you're wearing leather shoes that look like you shine them with a chocolate bar, that doesn't get it done either. Clients know the difference. They can tell. If you take time to put a coat of shine on your shoes and you pay attention to something like that, they notice, right? And that's how I look at someone. And that's the first place I start is their shoes. And if they look good, I work my way up. But if it's a bag of crap, when I look down there, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence. Because remember, we're doing safety and security. So they want to have confidence in your ability. Can you do this, right? I mean, can you protect me? That's a huge deal, man. I mean, I think I could count on 5 fingers the number of people who I would let protect my family, right? Because my standards are that high. I mean, this is a big deal. And I think a lot of guys go, oh, I'm just doing security. No, you're not. You're protecting another human being. And I tell my protectors all the time, look in the mirror, look at yourself honestly and say, would you hire you? Would you pay money for you? And what I want them to say is, hell yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, I'd pay for me. And if they say, well, I don't think I would, you need to fix it. You need to up your game, inspire confidence, do something.
James, what's the biggest, I noticed you hit on attire. Is that what you hear most from your clients about you have any back to your agents when they have a complaint? It's usually about the attire or their wardrobe they're wearing. Is that kind of what you hear?
It matters. It definitely matters just because, we have, we're just like any other company. We have clients that prefer a certain thing or whatever. But just it really doesn't matter about like who the clients are as far as a company. As far as when I do an interview with somebody, that's what I'm looking at. The very first thing is, are they on time? Are they responsive? And are they professional? Well, if they're wearing flip-flops and board shorts for an interview for our company, well, we're not a surf company, man. and that's not appropriate for the environment. So if they think, just because it goes back to mentality, if they think board shorts and flip-flops are good for that company and they're not, then mentally, where are they? Where is this candidate, right? What else do they think wrongly about, And to me, it tells you an awful lot about their mindset. And then, another good example would be, we tell candidates, hey, here's the fit test. These are the standards. And by showing up, you're telling us you can do it. Well, if you show up and you can't, we have an integrity issue.
Yeah, integrity. Yeah, it seems like the lacking in the last 6 months I've heard is lack of communication, no accountability, and they don't even show up.
But that's your reputation. Like you said, you're establishing your reputation. So if you go, you answer your phone, you do a nice job as a young protector, or the word gets out, you're establishing your brand. Now, it's up to you to establish what kind of brand that is. That can be a professional brand of responsiveness and competency, and yes, sir, I'll do that. Or it could be a brand of that guy doesn't show up. If he does show up, he complains. When he does show up and complain, he looks like crap too, and I don't have any confidence in him. Well, that's your brand. Rightly or wrongly, that you're creating your brand every day. And in this business, so much of what we do is it's what they see, it's what they feel, it's the confidence you inspire. You're developing that brand every single day, man, every single day.
Well, so like for the young millennials watching this, like imagine you're trying out for the football team. You're trying to make the football team. You have your practice jersey, practice equipment you wear, then you have game day uniform. And when you're going for the interview, like for Gavin D. Becker, you're trying to get a shot at interviewing James himself or through their hiring process, you got to put that corporate image on. You got to put that, pretend like you're giving me that executive you're protecting. That's the image that they're looking for. They want that confidence. So they want that, who you are when you're walking. You got to be, 10 feet tall and bulletproof. No one's gonna mess with you. You got to have that aura about you. And that's what Gavin D. Becker's looking for. And you guys are hiring like crazy right now, aren't you? Looking for people.
We are. We're hiring all over the country. Obviously, California is a big place for us, but Seattle, Texas, Atlanta, New York. Please, anyone interested, please look at gdba.com, careers, join us. There's a tab that says join us, or heck, just hit me up on LinkedIn and I'll get right back to you. I'm crazy about responsiveness, as you know. And take your shot, man. Just take your shot. That's what, just get in it. I was talking to my troops the other day about, just do the job, go do the work, and do a great job, and good things will happen to you, man. They will. But again, you're creating your brand, and you want that to be a good brand, and you want it to be something that people are impressed by, and they want to hire you again, or call you back, or put you on a high profile client. That's very, very important.
Hey, now, James, are you allowed to say kind of a ballpark figure what your entry level guys are making and that your top guys are making? Are you allowed to say any of that?
No, but I believe on the site it does talk about kind of where they start, but everything's negotiable. I always tell guys, what do you bring to the table? Do you have a CCW? Are you EMT, paramedic? Are you a rescue swimmer? Any of those types of advanced, NRA, pistol instructor, anything like that. And to me, make sure you let us know, because that's part of the negotiation, right? Like, that could help you with salary. They could help you with consideration. You might say, because we have this, we have a situation where you can maybe live in another part of the country if you have certain credentials and travel and be on a ready team type status. But, you could live somewhere that maybe isn't as expensive. What's that worth to you? So everything's a negotiation with regards to money. Again, if it's about $5,000, I don't know if you really want to do the work. 5,000 is not a whole lot of money, because there's other things that are money. I tell people this all the time. What is it worth to you to work with professionals? What is it worth to you to work in a good environment? What is it worth to you to feel as though you have good company benefits? What is it worth to you to feel supported by your leadership? What is it worth to you to have pride in what you're doing, how you do it, and who you do it for? What's that worth to you? To me, that's all money. That's money that it may not be money that you pay your rent with, but it's still money, right? And I think guys listening or girls listening who've done this type of work know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're working with solid professionals and you do a really tough job in a tough environment, what's that worth to you? Well, you can't put a price tag on that. You can't. Now, obviously, I know people got to make a living, but I think our folks do quite well. And but they got to put in the work. They got to put in the work.
Yeah, earn that respect before you earn that check.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, yeah. But man, it's good seeing you.
You too. Yeah, it's I've been stuck up here and doing a consulting gig for a corporation here in Portland, Oregon, and had to say I'm quarantined. I just found out you cannot leave your bubble for an indefinite period of time. Like crap. But COVID-19, we got to protect ourselves, and I'm getting treated well. I got a corporate place I'm living at, and they take care of that. Great corporate client.
Good.
And I'm making some money, and the company's making some Ledlow Security Group, and of course James is with Gavin Becker. And hey, James, you got any books you're going to be writing anytime soon?
I sure am thinking about it. You might be the 8th person that's asked me about that, and I am thinking about it. I got to talk to obviously talk to Gavin before I do something like that.
Sure.
So, I think I'd like to. But you also kind of feel, I don't know, maybe you felt this way when you started a podcast. It's like, who the hell would listen, or, who the hell would write a book? Who the hell would read it? I don't know.
Exactly.
I feel like I got something to say, but I don't know. Would anyone read it? We'll see. We'll see. But I really hope anyone listening, I hope something helped them and it resonated with them. And again, Mark and I were not second guessing this thing in Denver. We're just trying to, maybe have you look at it, your optics, look at it a little bit differently. Just the reality is going to set in, and it has for this gentleman. Just some stuff that, wow, got to be thinking about. But yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at that video. I'm like, it'd be me when I was 23, 24, getting into business. Not properly trained, use of force. It can be anybody. And I don't want to be a second back or armchair quarterback and done this and this and call people out. I mean, that's not my role. I just want to empower, lift people up, and I do not want to be throwing people under the bus over that situation, because we need to learn from those situations, not blame. We got to learn. And like you said, Jay,
that's the only way the industry gets better. Is
absolutely
having a discussion and raising it up and just making it better for everybody. And I think we're doing that. I really, really do. I mean, I haven't been in it that long, just 5 years, and I'm seeing a marked difference in, kind of the quality of stuff that's going on out there, and that's great. And I think if we can just all collectively just keep getting better, again, be competent, be responsive, be respectful, but get the job done, I think we're all going to be winners, At the end of the day, it's really about protecting another human being, and I think that, it should be everything for us.
It's what we do.
Amen.
What we do is a calling. When I got in this business, I thought to myself, I want to be a bodyguard. I work in LA, and I was working at the juvenile correction facility in Oregon, and I was watching YouTubes of those high-powered bodyguards protecting whatever celebrities. Because I was bored working night shift at the detention facility. I'm like, that'd be cool. And it's definitely a calling. It's in your DNA, and once you get there, you get the pumping a little bit and get the adrenaline going, and it gets a scary situation. But I loved it. I mean, I love doing it. And here I am doing it for this client up here, and can't believe I get paid for what I'm doing. But hey, it's the industry. Sometimes you pay your dues like James has paid his dues. The VP of Gavin Becker, and do what he loves to do. He's a protector by nature, and it's just in our DNA. And if you're looking for that opportunity, just keep knocking those doors down and network, like James said, through LinkedIn. And I'm getting people from all over the world reaching out to me over my Frank Mirrors. And I'm just me. I'm a human being that wants to serve our community, being a Marine, and help out those vets. And I just have a heart for helping people out, but James is busy with his time, and we're able to scratch this time out to just reach out to the audience.
Thanks for having me, brother. And let me just say thanks to any of my protectors that are listening, GDBA protectors, thanks. And I appreciate everything that you do every single day, and you know that. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, Mark.